Hey. What's up, guys? Hey, welcome. We got a special podcast today. I'm Brian Swinehart, and this is my buddy Alden Schaub.
Hey,
Yep, and we're we're stand-up comedians, and we're always getting on the phone talking about comedy and stuff. And I wanted I've been saying we should just talk like we do, but on a podcast, and maybe some people are interested, maybe not. But either way, we can kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, because this is what we do. And then maybe some people are interested in uh, talking about comedy, and maybe they're not, but we are, so we're going to do it anyways.
makes sense to me.
Yeah. So Alden, you live in Austin, Texas, and if you could, man, how about kind of giving us a little breakdown on your life and what brought you into comedy, how you got started, and everything like that.
Oh, sure. Let's see. I've been down here in Austin about 5 years. I'm from northern Michigan. I guess to get me into comedy was I moved down here. My brother wanted to move down here. He heard that Austin had a dating group that was had more people in it than our entire town. So he's like, "Oh, we should move down there." I'm like, "All right." So then we moved down, and I started hosting trivia when I was down here. 'Cause that's something I did back in Michigan. And then I don't know. I got kind of at an impasse. I was like, "Am I going to make a bigger trivia business, or am I going to do something else?" Because usually, what you do is you start hiring other hosts. You kind of take a backseat to doing the hosting yourself. You just kind of become an administrator. I was like, I don't like that. I just would like to host. That's what I like about trivia. So I'm like, what other kind of opportunities could I get for performing? And then I just started doing stand-up. I was like, this will be fun. There's some similarities. I didn't have any material, but I'm like, I know how to be a host, so I'll kind of go from there. That's kind of how I got started.
Cool. So you were hosting trivia, and then that brought you into kind of doing comedy, and you already were getting, I guess, the reps as a stage presence from doing trivia, right? You're in front of live people, in front of a group of people.
Yeah, I was used to using a handheld microphone. I was used to kind of riffing about things, just aware of people's attention. Like in trivia, you look out into the audience, and instead of looking for laughter, you're kind of looking for a look of comprehension. So those are sort of skills that are overlapping. But then again, I would go up there with just a list of questions and I didn't know what I was going to talk about or whatever. So that part of it was more closer to natural language than stand-up is in a lot of sense.
Oh, that makes sense because, because you're kind of, I mean, I guess it's improvising. You're doing a lot with the trivia, where
Sure.
comedy, we do improvise some, but we also have our jokes written out
Yeah,
and planned. Um, so did you start comedy there in Austin?
I did. Although when I was in college, I did one open mic at the Bob in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I was like, oh, that was kind of fun. And I didn't really think about it after that.
Okay.
But then, yeah, when I started taking it more seriously, I did start down here in Austin at Cherrywood Coffee Shop, which is like it's like north, well, not quite North Austin. It's like northeast Austin.
Cool. I feel like coffee shops are a great place to break it, get started in comedy because they're one of the few places that lets kind of guys who are just starting to do it, but it's also there's a certain kind of writing. I feel like bar shows. When you go to a bar show, you can be dirty. It's a lot about stage presence. Where I feel like a coffee shop, when you do a show in a coffee shop, a lot of it's about the written word, actually. About
Mm.
your jokes and your structure. Where I feel like a bar, so it's like you start to either go to a coffee shop or a bar. When you're starting in a bar, you might not need the jokes as much as you need a little, to keep the drunk people entertained, right? So
Got a little zazz.
yeah, the pizzazz. And of course, dirty jokes in a bar. Where a coffee shop, you're going to have to write cleaner because they don't, you can get all kinds of people in a coffee shop, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
Now you have a show that I love to do whenever I go down to Austin, and you told me that you actually sit there and watch all the comics perform, and you go through a lot. It's called the Ugly Duck, right?
No, you got it right. The Lucky Duck. Yeah.
The Lucky Duck. Sorry,
Mhm.
the Lucky Duck. And you sit there and for how your mic goes for like 3 or 4 hours, and um,
Well, it can go as long as 6 hours. That's when the bar closes. But yeah, last night we only did 5 hours, so I felt we're a little lacking. But no, and I like doing it. I get to sit there and write tags for everybody. And I actually sold one of my joke books last night. Somebody come up to me after the show and they say, "I want to give you $1 for every comedian who was up tonight as a tip." And I said, "Well, we had about 50." And he's like, "All right, I'll give you $32." I was like, "Okay." So I gave him one of my joke books as kind of a thank you. And he's like, "Wow, I heard you doing those jokes, but I didn't realize this was a book." And I'm like, "Yeah, here you go." So that kind of stuff happens there a lot, just oddball stuff.
dude, I think it's really great that you're because the best way to get good is to have your own night, right? Because you get to work on your own material without the frustration of having to follow the rules of management as much, I would say. And
Mhm.
the fact that you can sit there, because I've hosted I don't know how many shows, but I have a hard time sitting still and watching all the comics. So the fact that you can sit there through 5 comics, and I mean 5 hours of comics. If you could sit through 5 comics at the open mic level, that's good. But sitting through 5 hours of comedians and being able to tag their jokes, and tag is when you add a line to someone's joke. So if people aren't don't write comedy, that's what we call it. Uh,
Well, there's a reason I do that too, because again, the show being so long, I thought it was unusual. I thought if I bring in 20 jokes or something that I want to do as the host, I'm going to run out of jokes. There's just too many comics. So I thought, well, if I tag somebody's stuff every time, I'll have that fresh piece of comedy that I'm going to use as my segue. And then I just started kind of developing that as a stylistic thing. Because now when I go up after somebody, I'll tag one of their jokes off the top of my set almost every time. So I'm sitting there watching the comic went up before me, and also I'm cheating because I'm listening for when they get a laugh. I'm not just tagging something.
mm,
I'm listening. So in a sense, my tag has a much better chance of getting another laugh because that particular audience already laughed at that particular topic or whatever it was. So those tag jokes can be really powerful because like that other comic sampled the audience for me. So they're I'm writing a tailor-made joke for something that they already think is good.
and it keeps you in the moment with the crowd, and that's a great way to let them know that you're aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah, if the joke's really in the room, it doesn't even have to be as good. They just know that you came up with it on the spot. That gives it a little extra boost.
Dude, that's great. That's really a smart way to go about it. So and yeah, the audience is going to respect you because they're like, man, he just thought of that within the last couple minutes. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. That's really cool. And now, what are your so tell me, in Austin, what are some of your kind of clubs you like to do out there, and what's kind of on the up and coming for you?
Well, I mean, I'll take any show. I wouldn't say, but I think mostly I'm at the East Austin, like Friday and Saturday. Obviously, I'm hosting the Axis one on Monday, and I'm hosting the Lucky Duck on Wednesday. And then I've been at Roscoe's a lot lately, doing some of the independent showcases. And then I'm actually looking for another place to do my own showcase again. I'm not sure where that's going to be yet, but I do miss that because I used to have a Thursday showcase that was like 10 to 1 or something. And I could give myself 20 minutes a week and I could pay everybody a little bit. And so, like, I feel like I was more creative material wise during that period. And now that I don't have that, I need it. Like, I feel like I need that workout space.
Yeah, it's always good to have your own spot to work out. That was at Roscoe's.
Well, this is at a bar that's out of business now called Indian Roller, and that was in South Austin.
Okay, okay, because it's really cool how Austin the comedy scene there is. I think I told you before, I actually prefer the gigs out there. I think it's like kind of better than New York in a way because everything's on that one street pretty much. I mean, there's other spots, don't get me wrong, they're all over the town, but it's more of a condensed thing, less
Yeah.
people, right? I mean, less average people, but the comedy scene is like it's its own kind of animal out there. And I really like it. Now, I just don't like living in the cities anymore. And I kind of feel like Austin needs to clean the city up a little bit. But but I noticed that it was looking a little better the last time I went out there 6 months ago, actually, because I think Joe Rogan's Club is helping kind of clean it up around there. Uh, so
Yeah, probably. I mean, him and Tony Hinchcliffe, and there's a lot of other comedians that are coming here that are world-class comedians. Like, it is creating a lot of excitement, and I imagine they have a little bit of pull, to get things like that done.
yeah, yeah, it just kind of looked a little better. I mean, it's a crazy place for sure. I mean, it's definitely like they say, it's weird. Um, but and so now, did you move? You said you moved down with your brother. Now that was before COVID that you
Yeah,
guys.
so this would have been like 2000, maybe 18, late 18, early 19.
Cool.
And then he stayed for about 6 months, and then he wanted to go back to Michigan.
Okay. He was like, it's too crazy down here. He said,
Well, there's no open spaces like in Michigan. There's lots of public land, so if you wanted
yeah,
to go hiking or something, it's no problem. Here, everything's private. And then if you go out to the green belt or something, that's enough nature for me. But like if he sees a person on the trip, he considers it a failure. He's like, I want it to be more spread out. So like it's hard to get that down in Austin, I think.
so that's quite a dilemma because there he is. He wants to be on the dating scene. There's nobody living in Michigan. Go down there.
Yeah,
Just
find out that you need the nature more. You have to go back.
yeah, yeah. That's really true, man. That's really true. And so, do you think you were down there during COVID? So, do you think have you seen a difference from the comedy scene there? I feel like before COVID, it was probably pretty good scene, but I feel like after COVID happened and so many people left California to live in Texas, that it probably got a lot better.
Yeah, I only saw it for a little bit before because I had just gotten started. But yeah, I have been told it changed quite a bit as far as tone, what was considered acceptable. I mean, just the number of shows. Because I know that there were different comedians who said, "Well, if this would have happened back in 2015, I would have been banned from this place, but now it's fine." So like that's changed. But again, I wasn't really involved with the other scene as much, so I don't really know. But like people still talk about it. They call it like the old guard and the new wave of comedians. And
Yeah.
then, but some of that's just in people's heads, I think. Like, if you're good and you want to do it, I think there's plenty of room for people. Even if you're bad and you want to do it, who cares? Like,
Oh,
just there's plenty of space.
that's what's cool, man. That's what I do like because it's such an art form. And sometimes, man, people that are bad, dude, it's good to give them their spot because I mean, some crazy people I've seen that is kind of helpful. And then people, the great thing about comedy is we keep getting better, right? It's a type of
Yeah,
where I often compare it to wrestling because I was a high school wrestler. Is you can suck, but if you keep working at it, you will get better. You might not become the state champion, but you will get better. And and that's why I like your show, Lucky Duck, because you give anybody who wants a shot at the title an opportunity to go up.
yeah.
On
I say that a lot. I just say my job here is to make the time available. That's it. It's up to you to do the rest of it. Like, even at the tag mic, we met at that tag mic, and like
yes,
I tell people, there are no bad ideas or good ideas here. Actually, bad ideas are probably the best ideas because they're unusual. And like people, when they're writing something, they're trying to edit it, and they shouldn't in the beginning. Now later you have to do that, but in the beginning it should just be like get out the ideas,
mm,
and then so a bad idea, in my opinion, can turn out to be a fantastic idea, but you don't know in the beginning. Like,
totally, man. Yeah, that's I like your how you're saying that when you first come up with the idea, don't edit yourself, get it all out on paper or however you use to get it out, and then as you're going on, then you start editing it and finding what works and doesn't. Because you're saying basically, if you edit yourself at the beginning, yeah, sure, it might not be good at the beginning, but you're taking away a thing that possibly could be a good bit.
Yeah. Hey, you're just cutting. Well, I was told, at least from my reading of different comedians' processes, there's like the beginning is like the friendly, gentle, creative, everything's great. And then at a certain point, you have to be the harsh editor, but you should not mix those things. They have to be separate. So obviously, people are stronger in one area than the other, but you got to have both to come up with something. And have it be good, So like you can't just edit all the time. You're gonna never generate material, and if you don't, edit at all, it's just gonna be a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
they have, but it is different parts of the brain, I think.
That makes sense. Well, dude, wanted to just get you on for 15 or 20 minutes, man. So, what is your coming up? You're going to be at the Lucky Duck every Wednesday, right? And you got any other gigs you want to promote before we head out?
Yeah, I'm doing a show for Josh Castro's in Liberty Hill on the 11th, and then usually, like I say, I'm at East Austin Comedy Club. At the end of the month, I think I'm doing one at Roscoe's. I got an apartment show. Well, I'll tell you what's really funny. I created a Cameo profile.
Cool.
And I was like, okay, I thought you had to be a celebrity. Apparently anybody could do it.
Anybody. So, I've done several of those.
Yeah, so I got one the other day, and I made like 75 cents. So I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Hey, it's a start.
Yeah, and I've been writing for the Weekly Wiper. I got a new article coming out. It's going to be called The New Pepsi Challenge, Preventing Type 2 Diabetes. So that's going to be good.
Yeah, you actually sent me that, and I can't wait to read it, dude. So
yeah, it's going to be in the next episode or the next issue, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, your articles always crack me up, man. It's kind of similar to the Onion, the bee. What's the bee?
Yeah, it's like the Babylon Bee. Yeah.
Babylon Bee. So, well, dude, I really like hanging with you, man. I know when I first met you out there at Lucky Duck, I was like, okay, I like this dude. He's serious about comedy, and a funny guy. So, dude, keep rolling. I want to get you on some more podcasts and stuff, but I'll be going out there in November 19th-ish, around 19th for a few days, and I'm gonna be there at Lucky Duck for sure, and doing some gigs. So I appreciate listening to because I feel for only doing it for 5 years, you're really I feel like you're a kind of a natural writer, and you also have the discipline to sit down and get the work done, right? Because I know when you came out to Ohio and you did OH Pizza, the gig there in Columbus, you would wake up every day and bust out 10 jokes and sit down and write, and I think that's just awesome.
Well, and I feel I feel strong in the writing area, so that's easier for me, and I enjoy that. I'm still learning how to be a good performer, so that'll take time. But I do feel like having a good base of writing is certainly an asset. It's not the whole thing, but I do feel competent in that area, so that is nice.
Yeah, and you got the voice, dude. You got the smooth voice. So
be like, oh, it's like buttered corn.
Yeah, man. Well, cool. Everybody, make sure you check out Alden, and we will see you on the next one, man. Thanks for taking some time out of your day today, buddy.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yep. See you on the next one.
Mm-hmm.